Today, a profound shift is stirring within your energetic field, a deep awakening, a potent rising. Your arrival at this transmission is no mere accident or fleeting coincidence. It is a precise alignment with something greater. Take a slow, deliberate breath and allow the profound significance of this very moment to settle deep into your chest. If the truths that unfold here resonate with the very core of your being, we invite you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Consider this not just a simple interaction, but a powerful energetic declaration, a clear signal that you are truly ready to cross a sacred threshold within yourself. Because what you are experiencing is far more than just a video. It is a portal, an opening, a doorway leading you to the irreversible, undeniable, and divinely orchestrated transformation of your life. Tonight, we embark on a journey into a revelation. What truly happens when you finally cease betraying your inner knowing, that ancient intelligence that has consistently whispered to you through the gentle nudges of intuition, the synchronistic patterns of life, the subtle currents of emotion, and an unbreakable, undeniable truth. This message is a cosmic prophecy, a spiritual intervention, a profound mirror reflecting the part of you that has always recognized the path, yet perhaps wasn't quite ready to fully claim it. But today, that readiness has arrived, and everything truly begins now. Before we delve deeper into this profound journey, I want to briefly share something I meticulously crafted for those who are prepared to fundamentally transform how they think, feel, and energetically connect with money. My new audiobook, Inner Wealth Risingar, is designed to help you elevate your financial identity through the power of emotional alignment and energetic clarity. A gentle, sustainable path, free from the usual pressure or relentless hustle. Many don't realize that their money limitations often stem from ingrained old patterns and nervous system stories, rather than a lack of effort. This audiobook gently guides you to release the grip of scarcity and step into a sustainable wealth frequency. The link to explore it is readily available in the description below and in the pinned comment. If it resonates, begin the shift. There arrives an unmistakable moment in the life of every awakening soul when the clamor and distractions of the world recede, leaving only an unvarnished truth. This is rarely a gentle arrival, though its initial whispers may be soft, an unsettling uneasiness beneath your ribs, a persistent restlessness in your chest, a quiet ache signaling that something vital within you is not being fully lived, authentically honored, or courageously spoken. You begin to feel this shift acutely. In the way certain conversations suddenly render you numb, the way old habits inexplicably lose their allure, the way your once comforting excuses no longer offer solace. Your soul, weary from years of being silenced, begins to assert itself, pushing through the dense layers of conditioning and fear that once kept you dutifully obedient to a life you have now undeniably outgrown. This inner silence transforms, becoming undeniable, almost thunderous, until you find yourself utterly incapable of pretending that you do not know what you undeniably know. It's not that something entirely new has materialized. Rather, the truth that has always resided within you has finally expanded to a magnitude that simply cannot be ignored any longer. The moment you cease betraying your inner knowing, an entire internal universe reawakens within you, expanding in profound ways you can deeply feel, even before your conscious mind can fully grasp them. Your authentic truth begins to reshape you from the inside out, meticulously preparing you to step into a life that finally mirrors and matches who you truly are at your core. Every profound awakening inevitably commences with a form of collapse. Something within your established reality breaks, cracks, dissolves, or suddenly feels utterly unsustainable. This might manifest as a relationship that once provided security, but now feels suffocating, a career that once offered clear direction, but now mercilessly drains your spirit, or even an identity you once fiercely depended upon. but which now feels far too constricting to contain your emerging self. Crucially, this collapse is not a punishment. It is a divine recalibration, a cosmic correction. It's a gentle, yet resolute dismantling of any timeline or structure built upon the version of you that, at some point, chose to abandon its own inherent truth. When you finally stop betraying yourself, everything constructed upon the shaky foundation of that betrayal inevitably loses its support. You may experience disorientation, profound heartbreak, or even fear during this unraveling, but the deeper truth is that nothing is truly falling apart. Instead, everything that cannot journey with you into your next, higher reality is simply being released. This collapse is the universe actively clearing sacred space for the vibrant life your soul has persistently tried to guide you toward. It is the very moment your destiny vigorously shakes itself awake. As the dust of this necessary collapse begins to settle, something truly miraculous begins to unfold. You start to hear yourself again. Not the voice warped by fear, external pressure, or debilitating compromise, but the authentic voice that belongs unequivocally to your essence. It emerges with breathtaking clarity, resonant authority, and a piercing sharpness that cuts through illusions, often surprising even you with its power. This voice requires no external evidence. It simply knows. It communicates through subtle sensations, undeniable instincts, moments of profound déjà vu, deep inner resonance, and quiet, unwavering certainty. It becomes an infallible compass, a reliable guide, a powerful signal pulling you toward alignment even before your conscious mind can fully comprehend why. This return of your true voice is among the most profound and sacred signs of awakening. It marks the precise moment you cease seeking truth outside yourself and begin to implicitly trust the ancient wisdom that has been patiently waiting within your soul since time immemorial. You no longer apologize for your intuitive insights. You no longer casually dismiss your deepest knowing. You no longer quiet your truth to maintain superficial comfort for others. Your voice rises, fully embodied, and becomes utterly impossible to betray. The instant you realign with your inner knowing, the entire energy field around you undergoes a palpable shift. People sense it, even if they cannot articulate precisely why. Those whose frequencies resonate with yours are drawn closer, sensing that something powerful within you has awakened. Conversely, those who relied upon your confusion, your silence, or your self-sacrifice begin to subtly pull away, unsettled by the raw clarity you now effortlessly embody. Your very presence becomes distinctly different, brighter, sharper, undeniably more potent. You start to keenly observe how energy responds to you. Some individuals expand in the light of your growth, while others subtly shrink. Some celebrate your profound shift, while others actively resist it. Some might even attempt to pull you back into who you once were, while others honor the magnificent being you are powerfully becoming. This dynamic is never personal, it is purely vibrational. Your authenticity actively recalibrates your relationships, naturally filtering out everything that no longer aligns with the deep truth you have so courageously reclaimed. As you rise, your world organically reorganizes around you. Your energy itself becomes a potent boundary, allowing only what truly matches your new, elevated frequency to remain. As your alignment deepens, the universe will present you with what appear to be tests. Yet these are not tests of your worth, but rather profound tests of your readiness. You will be asked to choose between old, familiar patterns and newly discovered truths, between what once felt superficially safe and what now feels authentically resonant. Old temptations will resurface like lingering echoes from past timelines. The familiar relationship that once silently drained you, the habit that offered a fleeting numbness. the opportunity that appears appealing on the surface but feels profoundly wrong deep within your body. These tests are not setbacks, they are sacred portals. Each time you choose truth over fear, intuition over mere comfort, and genuine alignment over external obligation, you anchor yourself more firmly into your unfolding new timeline. You actively strengthen your spiritual muscles. You powerfully demonstrate to the universe that you are no longer available for anything that diminishes your soul. And with every single aligned choice, your destiny draws inexorably closer. As you consciously cease betraying yourself, a powerful and transformative emotional cleansing process begins. Feelings you have long avoided, deeply suppressed, or rationally explained away will rise to the surface with startling intensity. You might find yourself crying unexpectedly, feeling an anger you never permitted yourself to express, or grieving losses you never fully processed. This is not regression, it is profound release. Your heart is actively purging the accumulated emotional weight trapped within your energetic field. It is cleansing trauma, past disappointments, unmet needs, old attachments, outdated dreams, and all the versions of yourself who were never allowed to speak their truth. This emotional detox is a rebirth. Your heart is not breaking, it is breaking open. You are shedding everything that cannot survive in higher vibrational timelines. You are clearing vast space for a future that will, at last, truly honor your soul. Once your heart begins this profound clearing, your choices start to transform in deeply significant ways. You find yourself utterly unable to tolerate situations that once felt normal, behaviors that once felt familiar, and environments that once felt acceptable. You stop instinctively choosing chaos because it no longer feels exciting or stimulating. You stop choosing suffering because it no longer feels noble or virtuous. You stop choosing what drains you because you finally recognize and deeply value your own vital energy. Your decisions become firmly anchored in intuition rather than external approval. Guided by deep authenticity rather than lingering fear, you consciously choose peace over validation, clarity over superficial comfort, and genuine alignment over burdensome compromise. These potent choices collectively realign your entire life trajectory, actively creating a reality that perfectly mirrors the profound truth you once buried. Every single decision becomes a powerful declaration of who you have authentically become. There comes a definitive moment within every awakening journey where you perceive something subtle yet utterly undeniable, shifting deep within you, as though you have stepped onto an entirely new floor of reality. Time itself feels different. Your perception sharpens, becoming exquisitely attuned. Synchronicities multiply in ways too precise and meaningful to dismiss as mere chance. You catch fleeting glimpses of a future that feels eerily familiar, almost as if it has been patiently waiting for your arrival. You realize with profound certainty that you have crossed an irreversible inner threshold. You are no longer the person who betrayed themselves, silenced their intuition, or abandoned their truth for the comfort or approval of others. You feel distinctly tall in your spirit, exquisitely clear in your mind, and steadily anchored in your heart. You sense that your old life has finally loosened its tenacious grip, not because you forcefully imposed anything, but because you have, at long last, aligned with what was truly meant for you all along. This doorway is not merely symbolic, it is energetic, tangibly real, and vibrantly alive. It marks the definitive beginning of a timeline constructed upon truth, clarity, and sovereign self-expression. From this point forward, life begins to unfold to you in ways that perfectly match the magnificent person you have finally allowed yourself to become. When you cease betraying your inner knowing, your entire energy field undergoes a profound and systematic reorganization. This isn't something visible to the naked eye, yet you feel it profoundly within your body, in the depth of your breath, and in the way your nervous system subtly recalibrates itself. The energy you once leaked into draining situations now steadily returns home. You feel inherently stronger without conscious effort, clearer without overthinking, and more deeply grounded without striving. Your aura expands, becoming visibly firmer, brighter, and more distinctly defined. People instinctively respond to this, often without understanding why. Some feel irresistibly magnetized to your presence, while others feel distinctly exposed by the sheer intensity of your authenticity. It's as though your aura has shed layers of obscuring fog and now radiates a potent light that illuminates truth wherever you go. Your energy no longer vibrates in fragmentation. Instead, it hums in coherent alignment, in unwavering integrity. This profound shift marks the dawn of a new era in your consciousness, one where your inherent power is no longer dormant, but vibrantly awakened, fully recognized, and deeply embodied. Your physical body has always been your primary oracle, the soft and sacred instrument through which your soul gracefully translates the unseen into something you can feel, sense, and respond to. For years, perhaps for the majority of your life, this oracle has been speaking to you in subtle whispers you often dismissed, and in gentle warnings you consistently overrode. Your muscles carried the invisible weight of compromises you never voiced. Your breath bore the unspoken heaviness of choices that were misaligned with your truth. Your sleep fragmented under the relentless pressure of pretending. However, the moment you finally cease betraying your inner knowing, something truly miraculous begins to happen. Not abruptly, but with a steady, unhurried grace, like a dawn that refuses to be rushed, your body begins to gently unwind from years of chronic contraction. You feel it first in your breath. Instead of remaining shallowly locked in your throat or trapped at the very top of your lungs, it begins to descend, flowing more deeply into your belly, your ribs, and down your spine. It ceases being a mere shallow survival reflex and transforms into a full-bodied act of gratefully receiving life once more. Then, these transformative changes ripple outward. Your shoulders, once armored in unconscious defense against environments misaligned with your truth, gently descend and relax. Your jaw unclenches, releasing years of tension. Your stomach softens. Your heartbeat steadies into a calmer rhythm. The internal alarms that once blared whenever you entered situations that contradicted your spirit finally quiet down, precisely because you are no longer forcing yourself into those incongruent environments. You begin to notice it profoundly in how you move through the world. You are no longer rushing, no longer performing, no longer bracing yourself for the next emotional collision, or contorting your body into shapes that mimic false acceptance. You begin to move with deliberate intention, with a deep, grounded presence, with the unmistakable rhythm of someone who has truly returned to themselves. Your body starts to trust you implicitly again. It feels safe enough to finally release old pain, stored memories, and unprocessed fears. Even your posture transforms, not as an act of forced discipline, but as a natural, organic outcome of no longer carrying the invisible burdens that once bent your spirit downward. As your nervous system gracefully shifts out of its long-standing state of hypervigilance, you discover a sensation that feels almost foreign at first: profound internal safety. This safety is not contingent on external circumstances, but is powerfully generated from within, through your deep alignment. You feel safe because you are no longer betraying your own sacred guidance. Safe because your body is no longer navigating contradictory inner signals. Safe because your choices, at long last, precisely match your truth. This newfound safety becomes the solid ground upon which your next reality is meticulously formed. It transforms into the very frequency that rewrites every layer of your life: your relationships, your priorities, your natural pace, your authentic presence, and your embodied power. This is the pivotal moment where your body and soul cease living as strangers and begin moving as one unified, unstoppable force. diligently preparing you for the timeline you are always destined to step into. When you stop betraying your intuition, you send a potent cosmic signal into your very own spiritual field, a radiant beacon that calls home every fragmented piece of yourself that you abandoned, suppressed, or exiled along the way. These precious parts of you do not return quietly. They arrive, bringing with them forgotten memories, profound sensations, and essential truths you once buried deeply for the sake of survival. You begin to feel the lingering echoes of who you once were, long before the world taught you to doubt your own inherent knowing. Your inner child, the one who implicitly trusted magic, who believed wholeheartedly in their feelings, who understood the intricate language of energy long before they ever learned the language of fear, begins to powerfully resurface. They arrive carrying their innate innocence, their unadulterated joy, and a purity that had been overshadowed by years of self-silencing. Then the bolder, more assertive versions of you also make their return. The one who once spoke truth without flinching, the one who adamantly refused to shrink, the one who could keenly feel the energy of a room, even before entering it. Pieces of you that learn to stay quiet, stay small, and stay agreeable for the sake of belonging, begin to awaken from their long, deep slumber. They gently knock on your consciousness, not with urgency, but with profound recognition. They were never truly lost. They were simply waiting. And now, they finally feel the unmistakable shift within you, the shift that proclaims, "You are ready for me again." You begin to experience moments of profound, crystal-clear clarity. You revisit memories that once deeply confused you, and suddenly you understand with piercing insight why you stayed, why you left, why you tolerated, why you resisted. You see every past pattern not with self-judgment, but with boundless compassion. You recognize how each act of self-betrayal was not a flaw, but a survival adaptation. You see how each abandonment of your truth was an earnest attempt to belong in spaces that were simply not designed to hold your full spiritual architecture. As these reclaimed pieces lovingly reintegrate, you begin to feel an inner fullness you may have forgotten was even possible. You feel profoundly wiser, yet also wonderfully lighter, older in experience, yet somehow more innocently open. You remember things you never consciously learned. Ancestral memory, soul memory, and intuitive knowledge that rises effortlessly without need for explanation. Your creativity returns, your courage returns, your authentic voice returns, your vital energy returns. This is not a process of building yourself anew. It is a sacred process of remembering yourself. It is a powerful return to your original blueprint, the one utterly untouched by conditioning, by fear, by external expectation. And as these precious soul fragments finally come home, they bring with them the very vibration of your destiny. They bring the intricate codes of who you were always meant to be. And for the very first time in a very long time, you can feel yourself becoming truly whole, not through force, but through unwavering truth, through radical honesty, through the gentle yet immensely powerful act of no longer betraying your inner knowing. There arrives a pivotal, undeniable moment on every awakening path where the profound shift is no longer defined by who you are gradually becoming, but by who you can no longer authentically pretend to be. This moment is disorienting, sacred, and utterly irreversible. You wake up one day and realize with stark clarity that certain versions of yourself, versions you once fiercely fought to protect, no longer feel like home. They now feel like carefully constructed costumes, like roles you meticulously played out of necessity, out of misplaced loyalty, out of sheer survival. These outdated identities begin to fall away, not because you consciously reject them, but because your elevated energy can simply no longer sustain the heavy weight of inauthenticity. You observe old patterns and feel a sudden, hollow emptiness, not apathy, but profound clarity. You revisit old desires and recognize with startling insight that they were never truly born of your soul, but rather of external expectation, societal pressure, comparison, or deep-seated fear. You attempt to engage in old habits and feel a sharp, almost physical resistance, as if your entire system is emphatically declaring, "This is not who we are anymore." Your intuition becomes undeniably louder, not with urgent warnings, but with unwavering truth. It starkly illuminates the vast gap between who you have been and who you are powerfully becoming. And once you perceive this gap, you can never, ever unsee it. This particular stage often feels like standing precariously between two worlds. The old timeline noticeably loosens its grip, yet the new one has not yet fully materialized. You feel a profound sense of self-dissolution. Your old reactions, your once familiar emotional triggers, your outdated coping mechanisms, all begin to melt away. You cease resonating with people you once clung to, not because something is inherently wrong with them, but because you have simply outgrown the frequency that once connected you. You feel like a stranger to your past self, and yet, paradoxically, you understand that this is the most honest and authentic you have ever been. It is a sacred shedding, a spiritual molting of spiritual skin, a profound release of identities meticulously built around compromise. And in the expansive space that courageously opens up, you feel something tender, raw, and beautifully unshaped. A new self that has not yet learned the language of fear. A self built unequivocally on alignment rather than external approval, on unwavering truth rather than performative pretense, on genuine authenticity rather than weary adaptation. You are not losing yourself, you are, in fact, liberating the version of you that was painstakingly formed through self-betrayal. The dissolution you feel is not a collapse, it is a glorious liberation. Your frequency is rapidly rising, and the lower versions of yourself simply cannot follow. You are stepping into a self who no longer negotiates their intuition, who no longer abandons their own profound wisdom, who no longer sacrifices their vibrant spirit for a fleeting sense of belonging. You are not who you were, and you are not yet fully who you are becoming. You are the threshold, you are the doorway, you are the sacred transition, and your energy knows this profound truth long before your mind can even catch up. The old self is irrevocably gone, and the new self has already begun its magnificent emergence. As your inner knowing steadily becomes your unwavering compass, your relationships undergo a profound and organic restructuring. This occurs not through force or dramatic confrontation, but purely through subtle vibration. Without the need to utter a single word, your very energy communicates your newly established boundaries, your core values, and your reclaimed truth. Individuals who authentically resonate with this truth naturally rise closer within your life. Conversely, those who do not gently drift toward the periphery. Some connections dissolve with a quiet grace, almost imperceptibly, like tides receding from a shoreline that no longer holds them. Others fall away more abruptly, as if severed by an invisible yet powerful cord. You may experience grief during these shifts, even when you intuitively know they are necessary, because relationships often serve as profound reflections of the chapters we have now outgrown. However, you will also begin to notice something truly extraordinary. New connections form with uncanny synchronicity, as though the universe itself is meticulously rearranging your social world to perfectly match your soul's evolving frequency. You attract individuals who truly see you, deeply hear you, genuinely understand you, and honor your authentic vibration. Your relationships transform, becoming vibrant mirrors of your truth rather than heavy anchors to your past. And for the very first time, you feel genuinely surrounded by people who resonate deeply with the magnificent person you are becoming. As the shadow of self-betrayal steadily fades, intuitive clarity rises like the morning sun. You begin to sense things before they fully manifest, feeling the subtle truth beneath people's words, noticing signs, symbols, and synchronicities with a heightened and unmistakable awareness. Your dreams sharpen, transforming into vivid, meaningful messages. Your instincts become sharper and more reliable than mere logic. You receive insights that feel like sudden downloads, emerging effortlessly from a place beyond conscious thought. This is not mere imagination. This is your natural, inherent spiritual intelligence, long suppressed by doubt and fear, finally breaking through its confines. You begin to trust implicitly that the subtle sensations in your body, the chills that ripple across your skin, the undeniable draw towards certain choices, and the distinct discomfort around others are not random occurrences. They are precise, divine guidance. You become profoundly fluent in the nuanced language of your own soul, and your intuitive gifts unfold effortlessly, expanding and deepening every single time you choose alignment over fear. You realize, with profound clarity, that your intuition was never weak. It was simply patiently waiting for you to stop betraying its wisdom. There arrives a moment where everything begins to align with uncanny, almost magical precision. Opportunities appear at the exact moment you need them most. People show up with timing, too perfect to simply ignore. Doors open as if responding directly to your elevated energy rather than your exhaustive effort. This is not merely luck, it is profound resonance. When you cease betraying yourself, you stop sending mixed, fragmented signals to the universe. Your deepest desires, your intentional actions, and your vibrant energy align into a unified, coherent frequency, and the universe responds with undeniable momentum. Synchronicities multiply, repeating numbers appear like cosmic punctuation marks, and conversations spontaneously deliver the very answers you were silently searching for. It feels as though reality itself gracefully bends around your truth. You are no longer fighting against the strong current of your life. You are flowing harmoniously with it. And in this natural flow, manifestation becomes less about forcefully imposing outcomes and more about gracefully receiving what was always meant for you, once you courageously stepped into authentic alignment. As your personal truth deepens, you begin recognizing how much of your life has been intricately shaped by generational fears, inherited wounds, ancestral expectations, and unspoken patterns passed down through generations of silence. You feel the profound weight of stories that were never truly yours to carry. And with this recognition comes a powerful, liberating realization. By honoring your inner knowing, you are actively breaking cycles that your lineage simply could not. You become the pivotal point where the old story ends and a vibrant new one courageously begins. This is not an easy responsibility. It demands immense courage, sharp discernment, and a willingness to walk a path without a pre-existing blueprint. Yet, you also begin to feel the powerful, unseen support of ancestors who deeply yearned for this liberation, cheering through the veil as you bravely choose alignment over conditioned patterns. You are not simply healing yourself, you are profoundly healing your entire bloodline. And the incredible strength you summon now will powerfully echo forward, resonating into future generations who will inherit the profound freedom you are creating. As clarity firmly settles into your being, your true purpose begins to gently reveal itself, not as a sudden, blinding epiphany, but as a profound and comforting remembering. You feel inexplicably drawn to certain paths with magnetic certainty, while simultaneously repelled by others with equally clear intuition. Ideas spark with unusual frequency and brilliance. Inspirations arrive like soft, potent whispers from higher dimensions.